reconnaître votre œuvre et les monstres.
Pensando bien la cosa,
Ich lebe in finsteren Zeiten. Das arglose Wort ist töricht. Eine glatte Stirn deutet auf Unempfindlichkeit hin. Er lacht.
era azulejo entonces, oriundo del cielo, su estrellita roja para marcar el
And so the train went on into the gathering.
Et sur ce lit, nos corps s'entortillent ensemble, comme à ton nom, le nom de Jean. Croiriez-vous point, ô mère, reconnaître votre œuvre et les monstres?
My father's letter out of my pocket. It's right out of the bag.
Ensemble sur un arbre se mélangeant.
I'd like to get away from Earth a while, and then come back to it and begin over.
Ensemble, comme à ton nom, le nom de Jean. Croiriez-vous point, ô mère, reconnaître votre œuvre et les monstres?
pensando bien la cosa, supondremos que el río era azulejo
Koştu
entonces,
baktımın sultanı, zambaklar kraliçesi, nice bir straliçe. Kalbim kime yerlerdir suskun aşkı, ansıtmak için dikilmiş yasıdan önce. Unutan sevmek ve zaman.
Went on into the gathering dusk, and then about sunset when we crossed the river, I took my father's letter out of my pocket.
I'd like to get away from Earth a while, and then come back to it and begin over. May no fate will to misunderstand and have random.
Hiçbir şey tanıdık gelmiyor. Anılarım silik. Tavandan bir parça daha düştü. Boya mı yapsam? Oyalanmam lazım. Gün ne zaman başlayıp ne zaman biter?
Hey, I've been trying to reach you.
Hey, I don't know.
I don't know.
If
I don't know what
it's
keeps happening, but
anything going
I think I just keep
or
missing you while you're
it's something
while
I
you're in
said,
your space.
but
Like, I don't know, but
Hey girl, where have you been?
hey. Yeah, I don't know. I was just looking at a few old pictures this morning, and I thought about you.
I've been calling you for 5 weeks and you've not answered your phone.
Things are a little different now without you here. Darker, I guess, but strangely in a nice way.
It's getting kind of annoying.
This is the first time in my life without you, but honestly, I can't imagine having you back.
I mean, whatever happened to those days a year ago when we would see each other all the time?
hey, it's me. I'm just really missing you, so I thought I'd give you a call, but whenever you can, just call me back.
I feel more like the person I want to be, and I'm excited for that.
I enjoyed each and every day when I knew that I could see you.
Just call me back when you can.
Like, please give me a call back. Like I really need you right now.
And now it's different. And it's really just annoying that I don't, it's not the same anymore.
I am ready for a new me.
Don't know when that will be, but whenever you can. Bye.
Maybe I'll see you again someday. Take care.
Can you please call me back? Please. 5 weeks. I'm tired of this. Bye.
In the sea, I met one man. At the age of an cigar, he spotted me. You wanna heal, you wanna deal. He spotted me. You wanna me. My old sins. One man, one man, one man. What a man, what a man. In the air, I met one babe. At the age of never born, he spotted me. I wanna grow, never be old. He spotted me. You wanna meet my mental beast. One babe, one babe, one babe. One man, one man, one man. One babe, what a man. In the wind I met one maid at the age of a broken fault. She spoke to me, we wanna have a family. But she spoke to me, you had to choose between him and me. One maid, one maid, one maid. One babe, one babe, one babe. One man, one man, one man. One maid. What a man.
And also hi to Lucas. Hi, Lucas. Lovely to see you coming in there. And hi to Carolina Chica or Chica, perhaps. I hope I've got the pronunciation correct. And finally, I'd like to say a hi to Sandra Abu Zakam. And of course, I remember you. I remember you so well. Sandra is in Paris, so people are calling in from various parts of the world. So welcome. All introductions. Okay. Welcome, everybody. And I would like to introduce you to the panel. Oh, you mean, sorry. Okay. Sorry, apologies. We're having some technical glitches today. Please bear with us. We're getting through it. But I first of all would like to welcome Emer Byrne into our panel for today. And Emer is a dance artist, primarily in dance education, but she was trained in the Bath Spa University and also the University of Limerick. She specialises in performance, choreography and screen dance and has been a part of Wicklow Screen Dance Laboratory since its very beginning. Welcome, Emer.
Hi, Adrian. Thanks for having me here today.
Not at all. Thank you for being here. And I also want to introduce Owen O'Reilly. So Owen O'Reilly is a visual artist, an educator and a filmmaker. And he trained at the National College of Art and Design. And Owen and I have a connection in that we make 2 films together. Hi, Owen. Welcome.
Hi, Adrienne and Emer. Great to be here.
Thanks, Owen. Great. And I want to say hello then to some of the people who are joining us through the chat and have said hi to us. So first of all, hi to Blas Payri. Lovely to see you here, Blas. Welcome. And hi to Lucas. Thank you for joining us, Lucas. It's a pleasure to have you here. Hi to Carolina Chica or Sika. I'm not sure if I'm saying that correctly. And hi to Sandra Abu Zakam. So lovely to see you, Sandra. I remember you so well, of course. So, and hi to the rest of our audience too. We have others. And please don't be shy to put anything into the chat. This is a conversation, as I mentioned. So I'd like to just start by asking Emer and Owen, perhaps we start with Emer. Emer, how did you kind of get into screen dance or dance on film?
Yeah, that's a great question. So it would have been back when I was an undergrad student in Bath Spa University, and I was in, I think it was my second year, and I had a lecturer that was a screen dance maker at the time, Chris Lewis Smith, and he's a wonderful screen dance maker and is still currently making work. But he would have introduced me to a module which was dance for camera, and so it was my first time ever being exposed to the genre as well, and it was such an eye opener for me. I really engaged with it so well, and yeah, just kind of saw the the endless possibilities, I think, that came with it, you know. So yeah, it kind of, yeah, yeah, I think I was like 2 weeks into the module and my head was like ideas. So that was kind of the first introduction. And then I would have gone on to make many screen dance pieces as part of being a student at Bath Spa University. And then also would have performed in other students that were on the course in their works also. And then upon graduation from Bath Spa, I collaborated with different screen dance and filmmakers in England. And so I collaborated with them and worked on 1 or 2 films while I was still based in the UK. And then actually I returned to Ireland. So I kind of focused a lot on teaching at the time. And it was only when I went to the University of Limerick to do my master's where I was kind of exposed again to the dance for camera units. And I kind of ignited my love, I suppose, and my passion for it down in UL. And I had the wonderful Mary Wycherley as a mentor for one of my projects. And actually it became my dissertation project. So I did a written paper that kind of coincided the project in itself. And it was kind of exploring and exercising presentness for the camera operator and the performers. So having the camera operator very much a mover and a part of capturing that presence in different venues and different locations. So yeah, I think that's kind of, I'll leave it there and over.
Thank you. And what about you, Owen?
Yeah, I mean, I suppose I was kind of pulled into it by people that I know rather than it being something that I sought out. It was, I suppose, 8-9 years ago. I was working in Inchicore College. As we all know, very successful dance department there. And it began as a process of documenting a number of performances each year. I had previously kind of developed more of a film practice of my own. I'd made a couple of narrative films and I was kind of almost on hand to be able to document some of the performances there and work closely with Linda Higgins there. And we did a couple of films. And, you know, the more I worked with Linda, the more I kind of got interested in, rather than just being there documenting a performance, I began to see, well, actually, this is a medium I can really have fun with. And in particular, the whole editing process, I became really interested in how to take a performance within one space and to bring another element to it through how it's chopped up and how it's edited and so on. So that then led, I suppose, to you approaching me, Adrienne, and asking if I wanted to collaborate with you on a project that you'd been working on, quite a substantial piece that we worked on together, and we produced that in 2015. And then after that, then we did a separate one, the second one, where we used Super 8 film, which was actually a really interesting departure as well, because it completely moved away then from what I'd become interested in, which was the editing. And it became, because, you know, there was minimal editing then in the second one that we did, where it was purely, it's a very static camera. The technology then was, you know, it's just a completely different art form. That became really interesting as well. And yeah, and I guess we may work together again.
Yeah, I'm sure. Projects are bubbling away. Thank you, Owen. And one of the things we were talking about in last night's session, and just come up before as well about screen dance, is that many of the people who are creating in this form are not dancers or choreographers. You've got composers, you've got writers, you've got visual artists such as yourself, you've got film people who are just working purely coming from a film background. So it's a very interesting, for me, my perspective is it's about the art of dance. That's where I'm coming from. But I'm fascinated by the fact that many people who are very active and really doing amazing work are actually people who've never done anything much with dance. So it's definitely has opened up the field. It's really a shared field, I feel, in many ways. So I thought maybe we could have a comment about some of the films we've seen. We were watching them there together in the background while they were running. And I wondered if you two would like to offer any insights along the way. And of course, just for our audience, I will remind our audience and our viewers that we are, as we don't have representation from the artists, we are of course completely respectful in every way. Thank you. Any comments about
I mean, you would straight away acknowledge the breadth of creative practice that there is there. You know, some very, very different takes on what a screen dance is. And the one that would stand out for me as being quite a different take on it would be the one with the photocopier. You know, it has sound, it has movement, it has the human form, it has expression and all of that, but it's, you know, it's quite different from some of the other ones that were more conventional, you know, full frame of a dancer on film. But it's, you know, there's still a rhythm to it. There's still, you know, you're using the same vocabulary in some ways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Emer, is there anything that struck you in any of the films that you were watching?
Yeah, so first of all, just such diversity among all of them, and it was just so so refreshing to see all the different works, and congratulations to the screen dance artists on making this beautiful work. I think for me, Amorous stood out as it was quite vivid, and it sucked me in almost immediately, and just with that kind of visual effect as well, that was just so striking and so vivid, and really kind of held your attention the whole way through. And then as well, La Copière, that was one that kind of the curiosity also was there, you know, from the get-go. It was kind of, you know, in the very first shot, it was kind of working out, you know, what is this, what's going on, and all these questions that kind of surfaced, that then allowed, that were kind of answered then, you know, not all of them, but some of them were answered as it kind of progressed and developed. And there was something really satisfying, I think, around that. But something that sticks out as well is kind of the theme of isolation for me. So there were a lot of pieces where it was just a solo performer in the screen dance work. And then the other one as well, which was Journey of the House, you know, really struck me how it opened. And I think as well, just, you know, it kind of took me back to when we were all really like prisoners in our houses due to the pandemic. And so it kind of brought up a lot of that as well. And, you know, she was just by a wall for quite a long time. And, you know, we were seeing all these, beautiful embodied movement and motifs that were developing. And then with the play also on the edit as well. So, you know, some of that delayed response and and then the mirroring effect as well. So they're just a few. I mean, there's so much to say about all of them. They're just the ones that are jumping out at me right now.
When we were talking about that one, the Journey of the House one earlier, and we were kind of observing the way in each of the little segments of it, there was a very clear idea, which was then really focused on and developed, like the delayed image effect and like the mirror effect, where the artist certainly was quite restrained, didn't fall into the trap of, you know, trying to get exploit every last, you know, trick out of the device. Just took the device, but used it in a very restrained kind of way, which meant that then it stayed true to the original idea. Yeah,
I think we. Sorry, go ahead.
The first one that Emer mentioned there, the Amorous as well, what I found really interesting about that one was that in the part where the performer really began to dance, that was the moment when we could see the least, which I thought was really, really interesting, because we got that kind of glare effect going on, and we're catching tiny little snippets of what was a very exuberant and very kind of visceral performance, but it was so just the way it was masked in some way. Like the lighting was really interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you're, yes, and we were also talking about, I think it was the Gaia piece where the building, the dancer moved through these apertures across this building, and the quality of the simplicity of how the camera tracked across and captured her in these very deep, very, very committed performance. Also very beautiful, the effect also in relation to nature, the trees that were around this building, the contrast between the hard and the softer surfaces. And and I agree regarding the journey into that, the journey of the house resources. Something about the fact that it seems clear that the artist was aware of how it would be edited and how she was moving. So she had a very, very strong sense of what was going to come out in the end. Very, very crafted, I feel. And we were also remarking on the two pieces, the ritual films that, well, giving them the theme of ritual, that they were very, very different, and that the first one had this sense of anxiety brought out by some of the camera techniques and the editing as well, and how the camera worked in such an unusual way in What a Man. Something about do you want to say anything about the camera in that, Owen?
Yeah, no, it's just, it was a very extreme, almost a fisheye wide angle lens, which meant that every slight movement of the camera had this very dramatic, the way it threw the background around the dancers, so I mean, like, it's very much, I suppose, what Emer was referring to a few moments ago in talking about her own work, and how, the movement of the camera is, just as much one of the performers in the space as the three dancers that were there. I think that was beautifully done.
Yeah. And we have a comment here from Blas Perry, and Blas will be joining us both tomorrow evening online on our screening and also on Saturday morning at Mermaid Art Centre. And he's making the comment about the photocopier piece, La Copière, a truly different piece, more video art than recording of a choreography. It gives the human a dramatic or tragic feeling as this body is lost in the tech world. Yes, absolutely. And we touched on last night the whole idea of how the pandemic has it changed our way of creating work? Are we showing something that's related to the pandemic? I mean, themes of isolation and stress have probably always been there in art, but certainly they seem to resonate very strongly through many of these pieces that we've seen so far today. Is there anything else you wanted to add, Emer?
Yeah, there was the other one, the Intimate Bodies, Intimate Voices.
Yes.
That one as well. Just what you're talking about there, the idea of the isolation, and even though there were two dancers in the piece, the voice work in the background was telling us very much about that idea of separation, and even the way it was framed, the way we were only seeing, I don't think we ever saw the complete dancers at any point. It was all quite tightly cropped, and it's it's very much like this Zoom world where you're getting little snippets of a connection with somebody, but it's not complete. I thought that was very simply done, but really nicely done.
Yes, yeah. Emer, is there anything else you wanted to add?
Yeah, it was that same piece actually I had a comment on, and it was just that, that was the first one here that we were viewing, that, we saw the masks appear, and so kind of that reminder again of, oh yeah, this has happened, is happening, and we're all still very much in it. And that kind of reminder, I suppose, and, something lovely in seeing, two dancers in the space and kind of working in such a small space with the camera there, and just the use of the angles, and not always showing the whole thing, but as a result of that, it being quite powerful. And even I thought, like, the aesthetics of, the wall was chipped, so it's rugged, and all of those things just kind of just kind of like slightly unsettling, yet something that we can all relate to very much so. So Yeah, a really lovely piece.
Yeah, I think one of the other things you know, in terms of pandemic and post-pandemic as well, and I think you mentioned it earlier, Adrienne, was this the presence of nature in a lot of the films, you know, and also a lot of films have this transition from, you know, whether it's isolation or whether it's containment, and then, you know, that moment of being released into nature. And I suppose there must be some connection there between our kind of maybe slightly changed relationship with nature because of the pandemic.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, that was present in the longer piece, the programming H1, you know, where it started with the figures, you know, contained behind the plastic and so on. And then certainly there was, you know, the river and the whole lushness of that, you know, the color transition from the dark, the blues and the blacks now into the greens and so on. And we saw it as well in, which one was the one with the mirrors? Introspect as well.
Oh yes, forgot to mention that.
And you know, this this figure in nature, and even, you know, how the dancer was wearing that vivid orange, which contrasted with all of the green around her, and then the use of the mirrors, this idea of, you know, isolation but not, and you know, I thought was really, really well done.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, that piece, Introspect, I felt that there was something about the simple device in one way of placing mirrors in this kind of foresty area, and how that gave that multiplicity of bodies, which can of course be done through the effects, editing effects, but it was done in a very low tech way, I think you said, Owen. Just using the technological device of the mirrors. Yes, very interesting. All right. Yeah, absolutely. And yes, so perhaps we will move into our second section of films, and we will speak again afterwards.
Vessel. This breath together, in and out. Right now creates a vessel for our travels. Through rising, wilding waters, this breath, a remembrance that if we look between toes, eyebrows, ideas or organs, between vertebrae, words, and cells, what we're looking for finds us. What we're looking for finds us, forgiven in this breath together, in and out right now. Already forgiven in each other's eyes, we're now able to taste our own innate goodness through spontaneous sighs, tense bellies, unlocked jaws, and riotous thighs. To receive unsung abundance from our sentient wombing worlds rushing in to remember us. Connected. I've discovered under the tongue an innocent wanting to just be together. To just be together, breathing in and out. Right now, already forgiven. This vessel of shared and undulating awareness, tangled intentions, rising and dying, will carry us as home, especially when there is no escape from this terrible, miraculous mess we so intimately are. breath together, in and out. Right now, our vessel, this breath together, in and out. this breath, a remembrance, connected. In and out. In and out.
Mother and child homes.
For survivors. Mother and baby institutions.
And so I walked, while he walked freely, arms open to him of a life condemning me. And so I walked till Tuesday, imagining a hand pressing into me delicately, whispering of a warm place of safety, somebody, anybody, but no. I walked till Tuesday, and no one touched my body, no. No nature in them, no nature, no nurture, perturbing procreation in what is most natural. No nurture. And so I walked, up and down, and he walked freely, up, and then away. Gone, going, gone. No room for anger here, no room for me, you just had to. And so I walked, and so I walked. When I returned, drenched in dread, I saw him walking freely amongst the people and a place that coated me in disgrace and starved me of plain civility. And so I walked.
Tengo un pueblo enredado en mis botas. No me dejan caminar. Me duelen los huesos. Vivo en lo vivo y en lo muerto existo. Estas paredes coleccionan historias y leyendas que saben a caña dulce y amarga. Como los pecados, te dejan sabor a cielo e infierno en la boca, todo a la vez. Estoy en el polvo denso que una vez fue azúcar puertorriqueña. Los herederos de la caña aprendieron a ser hombres y mujeres en este lugar, mi único hogar. Fuimos dulce. He acariciado estos muros como se acarician las pieles de los hijos. Aquí mis manos fueron mis ojos. Tragos amargos, amores absurdos y necesarios. Todo lo viví aquí. Todavía eres mi centro. En ti, mis sueños siguen siendo sueños. A veces imagino ruinas abatidas y solitarias, reclamándome desesperadas que me vaya. Comienzo a caminar y me detengo. Quédate. ¿A dónde iría? ¿A dónde? No sé siquiera de dónde vengo. Mis grandes amigos se fueron todos. ¿Dónde está el sonido de sus voces? ¿Dónde están las luces? ¿Cómo te dejo ir? Se apaga la tarde y yo espero el día en que regresen todos a este lugar. Mañana, tal vez mañana, cuando salga el sol y pasen los años y las décadas. Yo espero. Me resisto a dejarte. Si tú mueres, muere todo contigo. Mi antigua central. Aguirre.
And welcome back again. Please, everybody who's watching, if you have any comments you want to make or any questions you want to ask, please pop them into the chat. We will be delighted to hear from you. But just to review and look at some of the issues that we saw and the comments that may be coming up regarding the films. Maybe I'll start with you, Owen, if you have any commentary on that.
Yeah, I mean, there was one in particular stood out for me just there, that 800 South. I found a very, very affecting piece. I thought it was amazing. I suppose it's one of the things is when you see someone working in a way which is so opposite to what your own instincts are, you're immediately drawn to it in some way, and that distance of the camera. This is the one where we had the dancer on the side of the road against the murals and the cars going by. But that distance between the camera and the dancer, I thought was very, very effective. Where we never went in for close-up. I mean, as a filmmaker, my tendency would always, okay, now I'm going to cross the road and I'm going to get some close-ups and we'll see if we'll use them later. And then I'd cut them in and so on. But the discipline to maintain that distance was amazing. And it was absolutely right. And then the quietness of the Debussy piece in terms of the music. And it just brought a resonance and a clarity to the piece that was just amazing. And then it moved from that. So, and the performance was excellent as well, like the dancer as well. But then as we moved away from the dancer, we saw the tents and so on. And we were then in a car traveling around the corner. It just took on a whole new, a simple shot out of a car took on this amazing weight because of what we just witnessed back with the dance. I thought it was an amazing piece.
Yeah, and in addition to that, I would say too that I loved the motif of the cars passing by, looking somewhat indifferent, and the powerful performance of the dancer. It just created a lovely juxtaposition, along with the wet roads and the kind of there was something of the lone voice of the dancer in there. Yeah.
I mean, I think it's a real pointer, that the person behind the camera, the actual mechanics of filming, it's not always about, moving the camera. It's not always about the edit. It's not always, sometimes, it is about maintaining that distance, and that distance is actually speaking just as loudly as the camera that's going in and is being intimate with the dancer and so on. It's not like it's by remaining that still and that distance. It's not. It doesn't mean that the camera is not present. It's present in a completely different way, and in that case, a very powerful way.
Yeah, yeah. Emer, is there anything you wanted to refer to in the films you've seen?
Yeah, absolutely. The first two actually, The Breath Together and Culture, both stood out for me. Yeah, this Breath Together it really was a breath together. And it had such an uplifting, a joyful kind of vibe running throughout the whole piece, and a real sense of community as well. So there was a real kind of sense of diversity across the performers in it. And yeah, just some beautiful shots in general, with sunlight peeping through trees, the aesthetic overall. And it really built as well. So there were even moments of, aerial, people swinging around trees and dropping from trees. And it just kind of, it just kept more layers kept coming through with that one. And just something very beautiful, very striking, and something very empowering as well with that one. And the second one, Culture, this I know the filmmaker of this one. So Ruby McAllister, who is a student of mine at Bray Institute of Further Education for 3 years. So it's a bit of a proud teacher moment to see her work being screened here today at Wicklow Screen Dance 2022. But this piece was, it explored a very dark theme. And I think it was also well considered and done in a tasteful manner. So I think the decisions that were made they were explored and researched well, and this came across, in the edits. I think as well with this one, there was a kind of a feel, or I suppose the reference that I would go to would be Rosas, Dance Rosas, and Teresa Keersmaker's work, and a film by Thierry de May, where that repetition was there, the women together, and the hair flicking, the repetition of the motifs, all of that. I think, yeah, it was really strong, and yeah, it kind of resonated. That piece came up for me as I kind of watched it, but also in a very different way, because the scarves that the dancers used in such a simple way but so effective, that kind of added something very different as well, I thought. And yeah, and just the locations and the different, going from the chairs as well. I think that's where the Rosas part came in as well, for me. But yeah, some really lovely shots, and I think as it built, it really developed towards the end, and yeah, it just became louder. The message became louder as the piece went on. So yeah, it's very powerful, very moving, and a lot of emotion, I think, came across in that one for me.
Yes, and we were sort of referencing the community aspect of the first piece, this breath together, this kind of just drawing together these dancers from various parts of the city and giving them time to explore this concept of breath and being out with something very joyful and celebratory about it. I think the whole area of activism is very interesting with regard to the films, some of the films that we saw yesterday and also today. And for example, the bridges one, where the fact that these are the people that are on this bridge on the last day before it's demolished, there can be a great resonance with a place that can really feed into the performer's emotion and the performer's how they, I suppose, how the life comes into their performance. And I think it's quite a strong thing where people care deeply about a building or an artifact or something, and they want to mark it before it's taken away.
Yeah. And with that piece, I think we'll all readily pick up on the symbolism or the metaphor of the bridge and the destruction of a bridge. So that even if there may be a very particular story that we don't know about to do with that bridge and its history and why it was being demolished and so on, but I think we can still understand it, that destruction of a connection. I think that came across, and there was it was interesting that there was so many dancers in the piece, and it was clearly about some sort of a fracturing thing, but that they were coming together. It was almost, and there was a defiance in the movement as well, and so on. It was very much a protest piece. We will not be separated. Came across, and I think it was very well done.
And then we have the two films, the last two films, Diablo and Aguirre. And I just wondered if you had any comments on any of those films, Emer perhaps, or anybody?
Yeah, Aguirre stood out for me. Just the overall, just even the colors, the tones, the moods that were created in each room that they were in or passing through. And I think, yeah, just overall the kind of the theme that they were exploring for this piece was done really well and kind of came together massively towards the end when they're kind of coated in that kind of the sugar, and that really kind of came into its own towards the end. And I think just the images of the males with the suitcases working with the telephone and the paper everywhere, and there was this kind of frustration and this heat, this passion, this and it was kind of even aggression at times. And yeah, and I think we were talking about this earlier, and Owen, you had said that aggression that then kind of translated into more tender moments, and I think that was really well done in this piece. And beautiful moments of contact work between the two performers where just, yeah, they kind of shared the screen and the shot and were able to kind of build this tension, and then, you know, to break into a unison section just really kind of amplified the power, I think, of the overall concept with that one.
No, it was striking how the performance did carry across the screen, and there was that you know, depth to the performance, and, you know, as you were saying, contrast between the almost violence and the tenderness. And this was in the midst of a very well produced film. You know, this was, you know, the production values were, you know, incredibly high, and the aesthetic, as you were saying, about the colors, and every shot was so beautifully composed. The lighting was, I mean, it did look like we were using a lot of ambient light, but it was so beautifully controlled. But none of that got in the way of the communication. Sometimes, you know, you would fear that, you know, so much energy and effort has gone into the aesthetic and the production and so on, but it, you know, it didn't in any way detract from the power of those performances.
Yes, I'd have to agree. I think the performances from those two males were extremely strong and very, very connected, and very, there was an element you could really tell that they were coming from a much more Latin kind of a temperament, and also with the other film, the first one, Diablo, something about the location in this very empty desert space, and this single male with this issue around the gun, and the sudden breaking away from that into the freedom of movement. I felt it had a great rawness to its theme, as a kind of a desire for some kind of resolution of something.
Yeah, it's always really interesting when you are dealing with a film like that has hints of narrative, you know, and that, you know, the temptation for the filmmaker to go and really develop the narrative can be very strong. But I think it was interesting how, you know, the dance performance really took over towards the second half of the film. And even those darker shots with the night sky behind the performer, you know, it took the grain of kind of energy from the narrative, and it said, okay, that's your narrative, you know, and we're not going to develop that any further, but just keep that in mind as we now move into this performance. And I think that's where it really shone.
Yeah. Is there anything in the chat at all? I don't see anything at the moment. If there are any last words anybody wants to add, or else maybe we'll go back into our last, not our last, our second last, next section of films. So we'll have a look at the next section and we'll meet again after that.
Yeah.
Oh, is there something you wanted to say, on?
No, it's fine.
No. All right.
식빵.
你饿了吗？
슈퍼마켓 음식 아무거나?
没关系。
만두. 또제. 슈퍼마켓 음식 아무거나? 식빵.
你饿了吗？
만두. 또제.
氹轉菊花園，炒米餅糯米圓。阿婆叫我睇龍船，我唔睇，我睇雞仔，雞仔大，捉去賣，賣多幾多錢？
배고픈데 우리 뭐 먹을까? 我也饿了，我也想吃东西。
Punta spaghetti 맛있을까 봐?
뭐라고 하는지 하나도 못 알아들었어. 我不知道你在说什么。
Hindi ko alam ang sinasabi mo.
배고픈데 우리 뭐 먹을까? 我也饿了，我想吃饭。
Pupunta ako sa pagbilihan. May gusto ka ba?
뭐라는지 하나도 못 알아들었어. 我不知道你在说什么。
Hindi ko alam ang sinasabi mo.
배고픈데 우리 뭐 먹을까? 我也饿了，我想吃饭。
Pupunta ako sa pagbilihan. May gusto ka ba?
뭐라는지 하나도 못 알아들었어. 我不知道你在说什么。
Hindi ko alam ang sinasabi mo.
배고픈데 우리 뭐 먹을까? 你想吃什么？
Pupunta ako sa pagbilihan. May gusto ka ba?
뭐라고 하는지 하나도 못 알아들었어. 我饿了。
Si Alibang sa ginto sa lugubang, ang babae sa langsangan, kung gumiri parang tandang, Santo Niño sa pandakan, Puto Seko sa tindahan, kung ayaw mong paputang, ubusin ka ng langgam, mama namang ka, pasakayin niya ring bata, padating sa Maynila, ippapalit ng manika, ale-ale namang mayong, pasukubin niya ng sanggo, padating sa Malabon, ippapalit ng bagoong.
materia gris es la materia prima de la que estamos hechos. Es la fibra que teje nuestro ser. El fieltro es el primer material textil, el más viejo creado por el hombre. Un género que se obtiene enredando fibras con calor. Dos materias primitivas con las que construimos una identidad.
and welcome back. So I'd like to say hello to Michelle pardon me, let me get my glasses. Michelle Bernier. Hi, Michelle. It's so good to have you here with us. Thank you very much for joining. And yes, we absolutely loved showing your piece. We all very much enjoyed that piece. So celebratory, this whole community of dancers celebrating the breath was really lovely. And also, just want to say, we said hello earlier to Carolina Chica or Kecha, but just to say again that we really enjoyed your film. We've been commenting on it quite a lot here. And I'd like to just pop into the chat briefly we had some comment from Blas Peyri, and he was interested in a search for editing with movement continuity or movement responses. And he was referring to grey matter and also to Squawky Walk for the editing of movement continuity. Yeah, very, very interesting indeed. Comments, Blas. Thank you very much. And if Michelle or Carolina wants to jump in at any moment, please feel free to. So, Emer, have you got any?
Just very quickly to pick up on what
Yes.
Blas was saying there about the continuity editing, you know, and it's what made that grey matter piece, I think, so affecting. It was such a short little piece, but I mean, it was something certainly that I got very interested in when I first started editing dance is, you know, that continuity editing where you're cutting, but you're not cutting, you know, and you're trying to maintain the integrity of the performance while making advantage of, you know, different camera angles and so on, where you don't want, you're trying to avoid jump cuts and so on. That one in both of those pieces, the Squawky Walk and the Grey Matter, that was really, really well done. Where the editing was quite active, but really adding to the movement and the development of the piece. It takes hours.
Yes,
hours.
Thank you for bringing that in.
One minute of film like that to get that movement through the cut is it's amazing.
Thanks for that, Owen. I think it's really important to remind us of the job of editing and how we, maybe as somebody who's used to looking at movement, I don't really think about that necessarily. So thanks for bringing that back in, the sheer practicality and the hard work involved. Yeah, absolutely. So would you like to lead off on this one, Owen, on any comments regarding, and thank you, Carolina, yes, lovely, thank you so much. Regarding any of the films you've seen, Owen.
Yeah, just on those two, the Squawky Walk and the Grey Matter. I suppose Squawky Walk, I really liked the bit towards the end where there was a lot of close-ups of the hands and the feet going through the sand and making all of that movement with the sand itself as well. And I really enjoyed that one. And the Grey Matter one, I think we were chatting there during the actual screening, and it was, you know, quite often you do think that film, that's just as long as it needed to be, you know, and it was perfect. But that one, there was a sense, I could have done it another minute, you know, it felt like a little clip out of a slightly longer piece. It was so captivating. I would have loved to see a little bit more.
Slightly tantalizing, shall we say?
Tantalizing.
We all felt, this is great stuff, and
there was even the scale of it to start with the aerial shot and the location. You're thinking, okay, I'm in for a treat here, and we're just getting started with it, and then okay, it's over. Because I mean, like as Blas pointed out in terms of the editing, but just the color scheme, the costume being very dark gray, not quite black. The white in the hair, it was just I really loved it visually. It was amazing.
Yes. Emer, did you have anything you wanted to reference?
Yeah, I echo a lot of what Owen said as well about Grey Matter. I was also kind of wanting more by the time it had finished, but a wonderful piece. But as were a lot of the other pieces, so I just want to mention various shades of white as well, of off-white. So much color in this one. And also I feel watching this one, it's one that I'll go back to and I want to watch again because there was just so much in it. And you know, it moved around to so many different locations. And for me, what stood out in this one was how sometimes you were kind of the voyeur looking in at quite a mundane situation where people were maybe eating or preparing for something. But then there were these moments where the performers actually turned, you know, purposely and very directed, you know, their kind of eye line towards the camera, almost posing to the camera. And I thought that created a really interesting atmosphere, I suppose, between the viewer and the performer. So yeah, I just wanted to mention that.
Yeah, just picking up just before you go on here, just on that film as well, that, you know, the restraint in the early parts of the film, you know, with the very static camera and the very minimal movement, and it was also deliberate and structured. And then we got into this little bit where they were playing in the shopping trolley in the supermarket, and suppressing laughs and so on. It really, it was a lovely moment where the film kind of took off. I really enjoy that.
Yeah, absolutely. And even just I'm left with one of the images where, you know, we're in the food market with all the fruit and these bodies just pop up, you know. So yeah, really playful parts to it as well, which I thought were really strong. And just overall the gestural movement as well. It really spoke as the piece kind of developed as well. And then yeah, the other one then, Intangible, which for me was just completely out of this world. It was, you know, quite amazing actually, and you know, almost surreal as well. A lot of surrealism there, and just a lot of power as well. And I think, you know, what was really interesting here was having kind of the body paint on one of the performers, but then also having another performer who was kind of, you know, a human, so to speak. But yeah, and having the two of those together just created something very unique, very innovative for me, actually. Just, yeah. And
yeah, it's interesting what you're saying about surrealism, you know, which is it's a disconnect from reality. And, you know, what surrealism really refers that we recognize there's something that we recognize in it from the real world. It's like a dream where it's something that is tangible, but then it's so otherworldly as well. And I think that's probably what you're picking up on there, is that, you know, we have this otherworldly white space, and then there's little glimpses of a door or a window, you know. So we're in this very contained, very specific world with all of these very powerful emblems to do with birth and rebirth and death, and the visual art as well with the drawings and so on. And we're seeing glimpses of things we can just about recognize, but we're not fully understanding it, which I think was really powerful.
I think I agree entirely. And I think that sometimes I'm noticing in Intangible, and also in various shades of off-white, that we're taken to Asia or to the Orient, and the aesthetic there feels quite clean, and in some way very, very different to the aesthetic that we might find more closer to home here in Europe or in Ireland. And I really appreciate sometimes the way in which that they create almost false worlds, or, as you say, surrealist landscapes and settings, but yet they do it with such beauty. It's so exquisite that it does take on that dreamy quality. And there are a few films actually in tomorrow's screenings also which kind of capture that as well. I want to quickly say hello to Ruby McAllister. Hello. So very welcome. And Emer, she's saying to us that thanks, she's in Scotland. Thanks for sharing her film, which was Caillte. A big hello to Emer, and thank you, that it means a lot to her, and what an amazing range of work. Yes, indeed it is. And yes, Carolina is telling us that this dancer in Intangible is a Buto dancer. We were talking about that in behind the scenes. Yes, absolutely. And
yeah, Emer, you had some interesting take on the movement within Intangible.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think as well, yeah, that kind of Buto, that really came across for me. But I felt as well it was just done even that was done in such a unique way also, which was interesting as well, because I've also done some Buto training myself. So it was just really, yeah, refreshing to see it, so authentically done,
Yeah. What was interesting from a filmmaker's point of view is that, sometimes when you're shooting film, there's a lot going on in the frame that you're not fully in control of, whether it's the exact positioning of things in the background or particular movements across the frame. But there was a sense in that intangible that every single little detail was absolutely deliberately and precisely controlled, but not in a unforgiving or restricting way. It was just about the precision of it's about, speaking very slowly and very clearly, this is what I want to say. And it really, I was really blown away by that one.
It really delivered.
And then we had All in My Head and Ash and Season Syndrome. And we were commenting that Ash was the only film so far that we've seen in the portrait view, in the phone view, so to speak. And it was so lovely, I think, the way the movement and the dancers came in and out through that little small aperture. And Owen, you were making commentary around the whole, which one is it, All in My Head, that a lot of the energy of this head turning was really done in the editing process. And
it was incredible. It was this, crossover of genres, the urban landscape respecting one thing almost, and then suddenly when the metal music came in, and we almost got a light show from the sun as the sun went in and out, as the shot changed and as the costume changed, we got the color going on. And it was this that particular movement of headbanging, that particular movement that is associated with that genre of music, it is so visceral and so I don't know what's the word for it, but that film just captured it, and more powerfully because it was taken out of the context of on stage or in a club or something, because it was in this completely different location. Just that movement became so,
and you were commenting on the changes of costume as well, so that really it was the editing that created the energy of this whirl of head banging, because so obviously she was doing that movement, but it was the change of costume and the editing and the light that was really altering it. And just a couple of words on Season Syndrome. Emer, you were making a comment. We were referring to how the camera went right up and almost into the space between the couple, and that was so different, for example, to some of the other films we saw earlier where the camera is at a distance. You had some commentary about that, did you, Emer?
Yeah, just in general, there were a few moments where I felt I was nearly almost in between the two performers, and there were times when I felt comfortable with it, and then there were other times where I almost felt uncomfortable, like, should I be here? And I think a tension was created there, and that was just really interesting. And kind of I think as well, in general, there was the push and the pull between partnership that really carried through as well. And then the use of the heavy weighted prop really added to that even more so, and even kind of, I suppose, changed their movement because of the weight in the prop. So for me it was just just really really stunning how it holistically came together between the two performers, and the viewer looking in or feeling in there, and then the prop as well. So that was kind of mastered really well in that one.
The costume as well, even the fact that the dancers were wearing shoes and they started off in just, almost like they're in this gallery together, it had that moment then when it suddenly moved into this, it's almost like that moment when a conversation turns into an argument, and that you can't define the moment, but something happened from this was an ordinary day and now it's not. That was very powerfully captured.
That's a really good way of putting it, actually.
Yes, exactly. And I would just like to, we're going to go into our next and final section of films in a moment, but I just want to reference the fact that we have, with Ruby McAllister here, we have Catherine O'Reilly, and we have Zoe Patterson. These are all people that myself and Emer and Owen would remember some of these as well. These are our younger students that we have known in the past, and Sandra, as I mentioned. And it's wonderful to see that they're coming into the community of filmmakers and dance makers, and that they're part of this conversation. And I just want to really just give a big shout out to these young people coming up, and that I'm really proud that we are giving, you know, a little bit of a space for them to find expression and a voice. Yeah, it's really nice. Thank you. So I am now going to say, perhaps we'll go into our last series of films, and thank you. That was great, guys. That was And so this brings us to the end of our screenings for today. Just to say, I want to thank very much our funders, the Arts Council of Ireland. I would like to also thank Mermaid Arts Centre and the Whale Theatre for its support for this year's festival, and also Dance Ireland for hosting our intensive dance training, this Wicklow Screen Dance Laboratory. And also, just to say, we will have some comments on these last beautiful films that we've seen. And we're so delighted that we have Lucas with us here, who created the first film, Sartori. And one last thing to say is Emer will have to pop off our call before 6 p.m. because she has another appointment. So I want to take this opportunity to thank both panelists, Emer Byrne and Owen O'Reilly. Thank you so much for bringing this great conversation and this deep interrogation of the pieces. I also want to thank all of the artists very much. A lot of work, a lot of time and a lot of dedication goes into creating these pieces. So shall we just have a look at these three films? Are there any comments? Emer, is there anything you would like to say?
Yeah, well, first of all, Satori was just a masterpiece, actually. It blew my mind. Just one thing that stood out for me as well was just the timings of when the special effects would come in and enter into it. And for me, that was just, it felt so perfect, and just so right in the development of that and how it built. And then also just in general, there were some moments actually with the smoke, and then towards the very ending when it's the reflection, it's the two dancers, one in black, one in the neutral color, and as the kind of smoke meets, it actually, a reference point I had was Akram Khan's piece Dust, which just popped into my head as well at that moment. But just the smoke, the little prisms, just the timings of them was just phenomenal. Just overall a really amazing and well considered piece. Yeah, so huge congratulations to the artist. And I know you're here today, so just really well done. Yeah, I bow to you. Wonderful.
Like every shot was so beautifully composed, even from the very opening shots and when the dancer stood up first, I mean, like that's presumably a abandoned industrial space, but the lighting and everything was so beautifully controlled, where we had the light colored floor against a dark background, and then the light was catching on the neutral colored dancer against, it just was so beautifully framed and beautifully composed. And then, as Emer was saying, as you went on then through the film, the way the shots became that little bit more complex. And then just at that moment when it changed to the dancer in the darkened room with the very dramatic side lighting, it was just, it stepped it up then just when you're, it was going so, and then it stepped up to another level again, which was it was stunning. And also the whole increase of the movement as well at that moment, and when it changed to that different lighting state, and it was almost bringing in that second dancer, that darker figure. It was lovely, really good.
Yes, and we were commenting on the last two films, Sea Cucumber and Transformance, in behind the scenes here. We were discussing the idea of the sea cucumber, and we have to do a bit of research in it. I have to confess, we're not fully up to speed, but Owen was making the point that he thought it's a particularly delicate sea animal that can register distress if there's some change in the environment. So there could be something to do with the environmental pollution that is informing that piece, perhaps, I'm not quite sure. But really, I found those last two films particularly beautiful. Also, Transformance, I think, is another masterpiece, really, a very magical, beautiful realm. Wondered if either of you wanted to comment on those last two films.
Yeah, I'll just jump in. Oh, sorry, Owen. Go ahead. Okay.
I'm going to say what you were saying at the time about the sea cucumber one, which, the power of that costume, that shroud, and how, the material that was made from it was so important to its effect, and how it almost looked like oil, or it seemed so heavy. Yeah, you were saying just in terms of the movement then when when the dancers stood up and started to turn.
Yeah, absolutely. It kind of reminded me of that feel where you've actually got like it's Sufi dance where there's that Sufi whirling, which kind of originates from Turkey. It's Turkish style, so it had that meditative feel to it, just and with the heavy costume. Yeah, I just thought that was like a really strong moment actually in the piece. And then Transformance, I mean, the name really suits it. I think just mesmerizing to watch. And also I think, yeah, when we were discussing it as well while it was playing, you know, I felt at one point we had the skyline and the clouds in the background, and the dancer was on rocks wrapped in this plastic, but it actually for a second was like a cloud had fallen from the sky, so just, yeah, just so beautiful and so well done. And some of the wide shots were really phenomenal with how the material moved as well. And we were having a discussion ourselves: is it plastic, is it not plastic, is it cloth? Because seeing it with that billowing wind, and it just took on a life of its own, really. And
Adrienne was saying it's almost like
yeah.
another dancer in the piece,
And also, just looking at the chat here, Daniel Azriel comments that he thinks it may have something to do with our dependency on plastics, and how the impact on the environment and how it impacts with us as well. So yes, indeed, those last two films may be having some reference to the impact of the environment on.
It's an interesting point as well, and I've seen another couple of artists working in that way, where they are drawing attention to the beautiful quality of the material and how it's such an amazing material, and yes, how it's doing so much damage, and it's so toxic.
Yes.
We were all just drawn to that. What is that material, and the way it moved, and it was so beautiful, but
yes.
it's such a negative force.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think we're going to bring today's proceedings to a close now. Once again, I want to thank Owen, and I want to thank Emer. I would like to thank the team behind us, keeping the whole technical thing on the road: Curtis Rodney, and we have Sarah Eva Manson and Hannah Slattery manning the chat and manning the emails, and in general keeping the conversation going on behind the scenes. And once again, I just want to thank all who joined us today, and to say that we have one more session tomorrow at 6 p.m. Irish time, and it will be another screening for 3.5 hours with a panel. And we have two more days then after that. Friday we're in Whale Theatre, and then Saturday we're in Mermaid Arts Centre. The programme is on screendance.ie. I'd like to thank you all so much and look forward to any future conversations. Any chance we can re-watch the panels? Lucas is asking. I believe that will be the case. What we did last year was in about a week after the end, it might be a bit more, it might be between 1 and 2 weeks afterwards, we will release a link through the website and you can watch them back again. Yes, certainly. Thank you all so much, and we'll see you tomorrow.